What up, world? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the COSIGN Conversations. Before we get started, I want you to know, thank y'all for tuning in. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. But we have an amazing guest here today who I recently met and had to get her on the show. We have Miss Courtney Hemsley, CEO of Empire Development Solutions here at COSIGN Loft. We're going to talk about everything real estate, life, how she got into real estate, family, and even more personal stuff. So make sure y'all tune in, like, share, comment, subscribe. How are you doing today?
I'm fantastic. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
Of course. When I met you, you were just like a big ball of energy. Like, I had to get her on the show. Had to get her on the show.
I've been known for that.
That's a good thing, though, because we were talking.
What do you take? What are you on? No. It's just life.
It's
buddy.
life. It's life. And, life be life. So sometimes it has people all the way down. So it's great that, you stay on the high energy. Have you always been like that?
I have.
Okay.
I've always been super energetic, positive.
Mm-hmm.
There's times. I mean,
Gotcha.
we all have them. I'd be lying if I say we don't.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just, those are moments. How do we turn them around and make something positive? What do we learn from it and go from there?
For sure. So this may be super cliche, but I would like to ask this question. For those who don't know and wanted to get to know you, who would you say Courtney Hemsley is? How would you describe her?
Mother first.
Okay.
Man, that's my biggest accomplishment, being a mother.
Awesome.
Raised a wonderful daughter. I care for people. I want everyone to win. I feel like there's enough for everyone to win. I'm a supporter, maybe a little too much sometimes.
Why would you say that?
Because sometimes you can put others above you, which that's good to do, but not in a case where it takes from you.
Right.
So I've had to be cautious of that. That's kind of my personality. But really, that's me. I'm an encourager. Okay. I want everyone to win. I'm team everybody, male, female, brown, white, yellow, purple, whatever you are. I really just want humanity, everyone to win. I wish well for everyone. That's my outlook and my outcome.
Right. Do you, how many people is your team composed of, would you say?
My what?
Your team composed of within your company? Or are you just like a one-woman show?
I have Diana, my assistant, which she keeps me on track. Without her, I know she probably thinks I'm bonkers all the time. But I think she feels my vibe and understands me now. Mm-hmm. But it's been, as an entrepreneur, it's been hard to find people that match your levels of energy, your levels of drive, your levels of just that character of go get it done, do whatever it takes. That's been hard. So you feel like when you try to match with people, sometimes it feels like it's pulling you down.
For sure.
So that's been a hard thing to match. She's came in and really, really helped me. She's probably been the first one I worked closely with on a day-to-day, evenings, weekends, or whatever. But besides that, everything else is, man, it's me. I have to make it all happen. I depend on myself for everything. So.
Gotcha. I know people ask this question, like I get it asked a lot all the time, is like, how do you find a good person to work for you, a good assistant or a good coworker? And, it really depends. But what do you look for in a person, right? When you were looking to hire her, what did you look for to make it a good fit for you?
I looked for self-motivator. I want somebody that's, not myself. Sometimes you want people to pick up on areas that maybe you're weak at.
Right.
That can be a benefit. But initially, I want somebody that's somewhat like me so we can vibe together. Because if you're completely opposite of me, you're going to think, I am a little off. I'm a little right or a little left. But if we're completely opposites, then you're not going to get my drive. You're not going to get my energy. You're going to think I'm being too forceful, too demanding or anything like that. So I really think you have to have that similarity in what your outlook is and also on getting things done, like self-doers, that type of thing. I would definitely look for that. Somebody that is similar in your drive for what you're doing.
Do you think you can like teach drive or hustle? Or maybe the better word is inspired? Because some people may come to you and they may not be inspired, but they know they need a job. And then working for somebody who's high energy, that may inspire them like, I need to do more. Or you need them like already with it, instilled within them.
I think you can inspire people for sure.
Right.
But I don't think you can teach hustle.
It just has to be.
Hustle that's a character. To me, that's a character. Like, you just know people that, man, they're going to do whatever they have to do to get it done. There's nothing that stops them. I think I don't really know if it's considered a character, but to me, it is. A character, a hustle is a character quality for me.
Would you consider yourself like a hustler?
Yeah. I'm going to, you tell me no, I'm going to figure out a way to get it done, unless it doesn't make sense and I'm just
Right.
being an idiot. But
Right.
if it, yes, hustling, and I think you have to really be able to pivot on things. If
Okay.
things, I think that's a part of hustling.
Right.
A characteristic of a hustler is to be able to, okay, that didn't work that way. How do we make a pivot and make it work this way? Especially if the idea is a good idea and maybe you're just connecting with the wrong people or not connecting with the right people. Where do you go and find the right people? Where do you go and find the right clients,
Right.
opportunities, that type of stuff? I think that's a big part of being hustlers, being able to pivot and figure out those little niches to make it work.
For sure. So I consider myself always been a hustler, but it was something about like when I had my daughter, it just like 10x,
That's
like
another
immediately.
level.
Like as soon as I found out that we were having a kid, I'm like, oh man, it's
Mhm.
really time to like put boots on the ground and really expand on
Yeah,
this. Can you tell like the difference of like how your work ethic was before having your daughter, post after?
100%. This is really gonna be crazy. Actually, when I got pregnant with my daughter, had my daughter, her dad at the time, he hasn't been in her life, but that was part of my divorce. I'm like, I ain't about to raise a baby and a grown man.
Gotcha.
But my drive went into overdrive because I don't think people take parenting as seriously as they should. Like, you have this human that you're bringing into this world,
Right.
and literally you are creating them to be either an asshole to society or a contribution.
Right.
And I made it a point that, I make sure I lead by example. I don't like it when parents use that phrase, do what I say, not what I do. I think that's some bullshit. I mean, I'm just
Right.
being honest.
Some hypocritical
I mean, it really is. So
Yeah.
I was very sure to make sure I'm there. I was there for her. I gave her every resource that was possible. I'm not going to do anything for you. You have to make things happen. One phrase that I always used with her is, we have to do things that others don't do to have things that others don't have.
Right.
I mean, it's just
co-sign
very,
that.
yeah. And today, shoot, she's at SMU, which is not easy to get into. Full ride, 100%
Congratulations.
scholarship.
Clap it up for her. That's dope.
Starting, she'll be going pre-med. She starts her pre-med internships this summer.
Oh wow.
So, but it took me sacrificing everything I had as a person, business, anything to make sure she was in the place that she needed to be to have those resources and those chances in life. And I learned that from, people will look at me and go, oh, you must have grown up with this.
You came for money or
Yeah, no, I grew up in a situation, neither parent was in the life at most of the time, drug, heroin addiction. But I saw so much wrong, I knew what not to do.
not to do. Yeah.
And if you looked at how I parent, how I am as a person, a lot of that motivated me to be who I am today. So I don't look back and say, this happened to me.
Right.
I'm saying, man, this made me, can't nobody out mama me. I'm
Right.
sorry. Like I have put my foot down. I've done and when I needed to snatch her butt up and do it, I would do it.
Right.
I didn't play with her. I was like, listen, we are not going to be a statistic. We're not going to let, because you're come from a single mama home,
Right.
and that's why she can't do anything or whatever. I literally made it a point to lead by example. And she motivated me. She's my biggest inspiration.
Nice.
She motivated me to, like, I cannot fail. Like, she depends on me. There's nobody else. It's she and I.
That's important.
So it really, really, I think if parents took their role as a parent that serious, and maybe I was a little overboard.
I don't think you can be overboard when it comes to parenting.
No, I mean, like, it's your responsibility to discipline, even if you got to, however way you see discipline. Right. I'm sorry, but you know what? But I mean, you brought this child into this life, and it's your responsibility. So stop, take it.
Yeah. And you raised her by yourself?
Yeah, she was raised by herself. Her dad was out of her life after she was 1. So yeah, it's been she and I. Mm-hmm.
And I know earlier you said it was, you didn't want to raise your daughter and a man, but some women think that, it's better just to have a man there so they have like some type of father figure present or, so they have an idea of what a father is.
Right.
What made you decide like, I'm going to do it by myself regardless, like his contribution doesn't fit where I see your growth or
I don't look at it as, I think one thing we all get mixed up on in life is these roles,
Right.
father, mother,
Mother, for
whatever.
sure.
But you can't just get this role and think, oh, that makes me a mother or makes me a father. You have to actually participate in the role
Be
and
active.
be active. And you have to have enough respect for yourself, have enough respect for your child to actually do these roles how you're supposed to do them. I mean, there's not a fixed way, but I couldn't put her in a position where it was a negative. I do have men in her life that are male figures.
Right.
I've been, like I told you, I would be very resourceful to put resources in her life. So she does have men in her life that are resources as the male figure. She's very well-rounded. But also as a woman, I couldn't let her see that just because you want somebody there physically that you let yourself
Right.
something pull you down.
I see
And I
that.
think it's a hard balance
Right.
because you want, there was times when she would question like, don't nobody love you? And it's not that, it's just making
Kids
them
are harsh.
understand. Yeah, I know. So it's just making them understand, the balance of it
Right.
all, and it doesn't mean just because a man isn't here in our home and a man isn't sleeping beside me every night doesn't mean there's a great man that could be in your life
Right.
to be a positive for you and show you what a male is supposed to be and those type of things. But overall, I feel like I said, I was very big on providing every resource that she needed to make sure she was well-rounded. And man, when I look at her today, I couldn't be more proud. And I look at her and say, man, look what she's done. But it took me holding it down to get her to that
Congratulations to you too. It's not easy.
No, it's not.
Easy.
Yeah.
And this poses the next question. So me and my dad, I'm not gonna lie, he pissed me off, but he asked me this question and I really couldn't answer. So I have a 15-year-old daughter.
Uh-huh.
First year of her life, she lived with me. I went overseas for 2 years to sacrifice to make money for her. Came back, so that makes her 3. And then she lived with me for the next 5 years. Me and her mom wasn't together.
Right.
After that, her mom ended up having other kids in the family, so she went with her mom.
Right.
So I wanted her to be around brothers and sisters. So now me being in Dallas, her being in Killeen, that's like 2.5 hours away. I see her, on weekends, spring breaks, etc. And my dad asked me this question. He was like, "Do you think you raise your daughter?" And I'm like, "Yeah." But he was like, "You're not there every day. What do you consider raising your kid? Is that somebody that has to be there every day? Is that somebody who's just present? Can they do that from a long distance?" Because I really couldn't answer somebody. I think I do.
Right.
Like when I'm with her, I'm present. When I'm
Uh-huh.
not there, I'm in communication, making sure she's doing what she's supposed to. But I couldn't really answer.
You're right. To me, raising a kid is first off sacrifice, but I mean, there's a distance thing that
Right.
doesn't make it a bad thing. But are you there when she needs you? Are you there? Do you pick up the phone if she were to call you in the middle of the night? Do
Right.
you? That's part of sacrificing. You never know. You can raise a kid perfectly one way, and then they have their own thoughts. They have their own emotions. They have their own feelings, and they can go left. They can go right. And I feel like it's always about not being present there in person, but being present there when you are there. Being present, putting
Right.
down your phone,
Phones.
listening. Also being able. I was really, really sure to respect my daughter's feelings and emotions as she grew up. Parents are so quick to be like, stay out of grown folk business, or
Yeah.
don't talk
Oh,
about
yeah.
this, or don't talk about this,
I
or
heard all
don't.
the time.
I was very big on no. You have a right to your feelings. You have a right to share them with me. We got to be
Right.
open. We have to talk. I encouraged, and as a parent, when your kids tell you stuff, you're like, oh, you really want to. You're like looking at them like, oh shit, I really want to freak out.
Yeah.
But holding that back and trying to really understand where they come from, as long as you just have that connection with your children, I think that regardless of where they're at in life, where they live and how far, how close, whatever, because you can have someone in your home and you aren't connected
Yeah.
and you guys bumping heads and fighting all the time or whatever, but you're there present and that makes you a parent.
Yeah.
No,
That makes sense.
it's that deep, that heart, that soul. How do you connect mentally, emotionally?
For
I think
sure.
that's been a key on
Yeah.
parenting for me. Anyways, that's what I would say.
Yeah, I'm gonna send it to my dad. He gonna like
Check
it.
that.
He pissed me off. I see where he was trying to get at because we was in an argument about my daughter.
Yeah.
And Yeah, but I didn't even like him asking me that. So
Right.
I had to take a
Yeah.
step back and like, I'm gonna come back to you.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm letting him watch
Well,
this.
and he's probably, we always got to give it to people. They're probably just making sure we're checking our boxes
Yeah,
and doing what we're supposed to do. So, we can all come
yeah.
across a little.
Nah, for sure. It was something with my daughter. She's 15, so she's moody. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? So she got moody with my mom, and then I defended my daughter because that's my baby.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then my dad was like, "No, you're supposed to be looking out for your mom. Do you even raise your daughter?"
Right.
I'm like, sir,
Yeah.
you didn't raise me.
Right.
But that's a whole other conversation.
Right.
But in our life, there's always this point to where things change. For me, it was when I became an entrepreneur. It didn't start off great, but over time, consistency, hard work,
Yeah.
relationships, I became able to run a successful business.
Right.
Would you say that like getting into real estate changed your life?
Oh, tremendously.
Mhm.
It changed my life tremendously. I moved to Dallas in 2000.
Okay.
Hear me.
Where'd you used to live?
Oklahoma.
Okay, what part?
I grew up in Colbert,
Never
very
heard of it.
small town, and then Durant.
I heard
Lived in
Durant.
Durant. Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
I've been to.
So I ran to Dallas.
I'm out.
Yeah, I'm out. So yeah, I moved to Dallas. Started working for a gentleman in the construction industry. He built a lot of things downtown, Addison area, Mary
Okay.
Kay building, apartments, that type of stuff. Literally went home every day crying. It was
Hated it?
construction. Well,
Or-
it was just so damn brutal. I mean,
Oh,
like,
okay. So-
it was rough. You're
Okay.
in the construction industry. My first job, I started off as an assistant.
Okay, I was about to ask you. Where'd you start off at?
And then from there, man, he taught me everything about construction. I learned how to read blueprints on job sites, everything. He built
Okay.
multifamily, Mary Kay building.
He built that?
He built a Mary Kay building. Yeah.
Wow.
Resorts in Costa Rica. So he taught me about construction, and he gave me a backbone in the industry. After going through that, I was like, can't nobody break me in this.
Yeah.
I just had to learn how to, again, pivot
Mhm.
and understand that this is the business. Don't take things personal. I think a
Right.
lot of times in business, you want to be personable and authentic,
Mhm.
but it's hard to put the feelings away.
Right.
And I've had to really, really learn how to do that in this male dominant
industry.
industry.
Yeah, I know
Like,
what
I
you say.
can't go into jobs like crying, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, it taught me, it gave me that backbone, that tough skin. Sometimes probably a little too tough. I have to like check myself. You are a woman. You can show emotion. So that's been another balancing part of it. But it gave me the foundation as an entrepreneur
Okay.
to tough it out, and that's what it's about. And
Right.
you got to be able to like ride with the good, ride with the bad, and make the pivots. So it really, really, that was my start to it.
So from there, what did you learn that you like, okay, I can go out on my own and do something? Like, what was that one thing he taught you that you was like, I have all the tools I need to go out on my own?
Again, I would take it back to, it built my confidence in myself. It built, to do it on your own, you got to be, you
Yeah,
got to
for
have, you can't be weak.
For sure.
So it gave me that confidence, even though it didn't seem like it in the beginning.
Mhm.
I think everything that you go through that probably feels like it's bringing you down at one point, or you're struggling from, if you kind of go through it and grow through it, it will build you up stronger.
Gotcha.
For sure. So going through those challenges, it built my confidence, especially in a male dominant industry. I love walking in a room full of men and being the oddball out, and they're like, what is she doing here? And I'm like, yeah, I'm watching, just wait and see. So it really just built my confidence up to go out and do my own thing. So
Gotcha. So for people that are listening now, kind of tell us what you specialize in, because real estate's it's a large field.
Yeah,
It's a
it
large
is.
playing field. So many aspects to it. So you have your company. So kind of tell us what you specialize in, and we can kind of break that down.
So Empire Development Solutions is based on a one-stop solution for project needs, construction projects.
Okay.
So we start with land acquisitions, finding off-market land opportunities.
Is this commercial property or could
This will be
both?
focused on anything large. It'd be considered commercial because it's
Okay.
going to be multifamily, single-family developments, not just
Okay.
one single-family home, townhome developments, commercial sites, that type. So it would be
Okay.
considered commercial real estate. So you start with land acquisitions, off market, investment opportunities, investors that are looking to get into the development side of investments for
Okay.
real estate, and then construction itself. My company, we still do infrastructure and development.
Okay.
There's 3 hedge funds right now that I do all their streets, curbs, gutters, roads for all of
Right.
their developments, and then investors if they're looking to have homes built, anything like that. I have a project going on in Greenville right now, 4 townhomes that I'm building for an investor.
Okay.
So really any aspect of construction and development, whether it just starts with the land, the investment, or actually construction itself,
Okay.
is my solution for people's projects.
So you're kind of a big deal, what you're saying.
Yeah.
Kind of a big deal. Nah.
One-stop solution right
Nah,
there.
for
Yeah.
sure. So what I realized, because I'm from Killeen, which is, like I said, 2.5 hours from here,
Mhm.
there's a lot of multifamilies in Killeen.
Right.
I don't see that much in Dallas. I don't see a lot of fourplexes, duplexes,
Uh-huh.
townhomes within Dallas. Is there a reason for that? And what's a good area that you have seen a lot of, multifamilies being built in?
Well, multifamily, people break it down in a few different ways. They do multifamily like going, floors up, 1, 2, 3, 4
Right.
levels in their, individual homes, or the townhome duplex setup, like what you just mentioned. The townhome duplex has caught on like wildfire this last year to 2
Okay.
years, because I think that's your middle ground for people on living. Whether it's you come from a home but you don't want to be in an apartment.
Right.
Townhome duplex is that perfect middle, living
Mhm.
space. You may have a little bit of a yard. You have your own entry.
Right.
You have a garage. So those have caught on like crazy. I mean,
Okay.
there's so many of those developments. Maybe you just haven't seen them, but there's a lot of
Okay.
those going on right now. I would probably say there's just as many of those that there are single family developments
wow.
going on right now. Yeah,
Really?
because it's that perfect medium.
Is there like a hot spot particular like right now?
Man, there's so many. There's not
It's
one.
all over, right?
It's just wherever in our side we look at, what are the economic drivers there?
Okay.
What or is there a hospital nearby? What companies are there? Why would people want to come live there? Is there a housing shortage, which that's everywhere? But we just look at those economic drivers in that area. Why would somebody want to come live there?
Can some of those drivers actually have like a negative impact? 'Cause like I seen recently, I can't remember what is built in Rockwall. I want to say like a resort is supposed to be coming in the next couple of
I
years.
haven't heard of that.
Yeah, I want to say it's Rockwall. So they're building like a resort.
Now in Frisco, they have the Universal Park is coming
Maybe it
there.
was Frisco.
Yeah, it's like a whole nother. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, but what I'm hearing from some people is like, man, they actually don't want that to come.
I think in some situations, like I've been in Frisco for 23 years, and I don't like the congestion of it now.
Right.
So a lot of people will get turned off by the growth because they're used to being able to move around a certain way.
Right.
And then you bring more in and too much, and then it's
Right.
like you can't move around. You can't. It's not near as intimate and as personal
sure.
as probably what it was before. But I mean, shoot, I mean, you can't get away from growth. I mean, there's new
Definitely.
developments we have going on in cities that we're trying to get approved. They need housing, and you'll have the same old mom and pa that'll live there for 100 years, and they don't want anything coming in there. But I mean,
Right.
growth is. I mean, you can't stop it. I mean,
for-
you got to
for
grow
sure.
somewhere.
Nah, definitely. One thing I've been hearing people preach a lot about lately is land, to buy land.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah.
they're not, of course.
I say it. They're not making more of it. You better buy it.
But what's like the entry point? Because that's one thing I hear people struggle with, and I'm pretty sure they can go on YouTube University and
Right.
find all this out. But like for somebody who does it every day, right? Somebody
Uh-huh.
walked up to you and like, "Hey, I don't know where to start, but
Yeah.
I know I want to get land and build on it." Like,
Right.
what would you tell them their process to kind of get into it?
Land, obviously, you want to the area, the location is a big key. You want to know where your utilities are. A lot of time you may find a great piece of land, but utilities are 3 miles away. Well, that's going to be a large expense to get those utilities to that site: water, sewer, electric, everything like that. So whenever I look at land initially, those are the main things I look for. Obviously, the overall location, and then where are your utilities at? How much is it going to cost me to get them there?
Gotcha.
Because sometimes that can completely wipe out a deal if they're not close enough. Then you're going to go into your environmentals, your soil reports,
Okay.
what you're wanting to build there. Will that soil, will that dirt sustain what you're trying to build? There's like over 300 types of soils, if you didn't know that.
Did not.
Yeah.
Dirt is dirt.
So,
to
yeah,
me.
dirt is dirt. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
But, if you're trying to build a high rise or something like that, is that density in that dirt, is it strong enough to hold what you're trying to do? Of course, you can bring in piers, beams, and all that kind of stuff, but it's got to start with the dirt. It's very, very important. Yeah.
Got you, man.
Yeah.
I'm like, how you supposed to know that? I see a piece of property. I'm like, yeah, I want that.
Yeah,
and then you talk to the realtor and you purchase it. And then later on, you don't even know that all this comes into
And it depends
play.
on what you're wanting to build too. I mean, if it's raw, those are the first things you're going to look at if it's raw. But if it's already entitled, entitled means it's already been approved for a specific use. So if you were a multifamily builder and this piece of dirt somebody told you it's for multifamily, but you go and you buy it and you didn't do your research and it's only for single family, well, guess what? You can't build multifamily there because it's already entitled for that specific use. And if they're not entitled, then you have to go through the process. If you go buy raw, then you have to go through the process with the city, planning and zoning, to get it entitled and zoned for that use of what you want to build. So there's a lot it can take, if you go buy a piece of dirt, it can take 1 to 2 years before you can even start doing anything on it for approvals. Or I've had a developer buy dirt, thought it was zoned or entitled for a specific use, multifamily, and it ended up expiring because it was zoned for that initially crazy amount of years ago. It expired. He bought it. We spent over 1.5 years trying to get it rezoned to what he thought he bought it for.
Right.
So, you're spending money, all that kind of stuff. So it's, there's a lot of tricks to it.
Is there a site for this? Or like, how do you find this up? Or you just call her?
I can find you some dirt. Yeah. If you have a specific use in mind of what you're looking for, then I can definitely find it or figure out a way for it.
When real estate become of course, super popular these days, do you ever find it difficult for people to actually find these deals? Like, you're in the industry, so you know these deals off market. But for somebody who's coming in new, do you recommend them getting with somebody like you or a realtor? Because it's probably hard for them to find it on a Zillow or on the standard.
Zillow and those things I don't think are kept up to date as they should be. Realtors can be tricky. I'm not a licensed realtor. But on my transactions, I typically won't deal with realtors.
Why is that?
I love realtors, but sometimes they can cock block a deal. Or that's what I want to say.
No.
Just because not all, but if they're not educated in that type of property, and say you have a sister that's a realtor, and you're like, hey, I want to sell this piece of land, but if she doesn't have the expertise in land and she puts the land up for sale, then you have developers calling you looking for the land. And she's like, no, can't. So if she doesn't know the lingo or understand what they're looking for in that piece of land, your deal could never sell. So on my transactions, I do not use realtors and neither do my land sellers. That's why they come to me, because they don't want to use realtors are great for certain situations and in that area that they're educated in. But from what I found on the land acquisition parts, which is where I'm mostly involved in, if they're not educated on land and the things I mentioned earlier, a lot of times they could kill a deal. And this owner's going, I'm just trying to get the dirt sold. I don't understand. And it's really, but they're just not educated on that piece. But again, it's all about resources. Anything that you're looking to do, whether it's real estate, podcasts, anything, whatever. It's all about making those connections with the resources and not just finding people that say they know what they're doing, but what is their track record? Think about it. You look on the internet or anything, social media, everybody's got a course out, or, hey, I can teach you this. I can do this for $20,000. You're going to be the next this. But what is their proven track record? Who can you talk to that's worked with them that has benefited from their course or their business or whatever they're claiming they can do? So I would say just check into your resources if you need stuff, but then also check their track record is key.
That's important, because I definitely know a lot of people that do this. They they sell their information, but they don't sell what they've actually done.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
So that makes sense.
100%.
So one thing I definitely have to ask because I hear it all the time, right? So let's say real estate because it's trendy, everybody wants to get into it,
Uh-huh.
and it's a good thing, right?
Right.
It's a wealth tool.
Right.
But do you think that real estate is for everybody? And if you say yes, at what point? Because some people may not have their business affairs in order, their personal affairs. So when is real estate a great wealth tool for an individual?
Real estate is great if you can find a niche in real
Mm,
estate
okay.
and a niche in something that you're passionate about.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is a lot of people get into real estate and they have this wide variety. You're like, yeah, I'm going to be a realtor, but okay, what is your niche in that as a realtor? What is like when I'm talk about construction, I'm going to go all about development construction. People bring me deals all the time that are existing. Yeah,
Mhm.
but that's not my niche.
Right,
My
right.
niche is get into real estate. There's so many different areas. There's fix and flip. There's Airbnb. There's
Right.
new construction. There's development.
Wholesaling.
There's wholesaling. There's so many areas. But instead of trying to get in there and do it all,
Right.
find a niche in it
Mhm.
and find a way to be different from other people. Because that's where I've been successful is being
Different.
different in that space. First off, construction and development. Not a lot of women are in that,
Right.
and most people they're intimidated by construction. When's the last time you built something ground up? 90% of the people that you talk to have never
Right.
built something. They don't even know where to start.
Right.
So I've made it a point to find a niche. So
Mhm.
anybody can get into real estate, but I think it's really key on picking 1 to 2
Mhm.
areas and really studying, getting all the resources, getting around people that have done it,
Right.
and become an expert in that 1 or 2 areas. So people call you for that instead of being now you'll get calls going, "Hey, what about this? I don't know it, but I know somebody who
Right.
does."
Right.
It's good to be that resource, but if you're going to really be in the game, I say find 1 or 2 little niche areas and make that your bread and butter and just everybody knows you for that.
Got you. What about I say, but what about the investor side? Because a lot of our community are, entrepreneurs, so they have their
Uh-huh.
own business, right? So it'll be pretty difficult, and they'll spread themselves thin trying to be an expert in both fields. May take time, and then
Right.
so like if they want to be like a passive investor or maybe like a project on the investor side,
Uh-huh.
what do you recommend on that aspect?
Investment is a lot easier than what people realize it
Okay.
is. Again, and a lot of it is about resources. I have people that will come to me and go, I've got a 401k. I really want to get into real estate, but I don't know anything about construction and development.
Mhm.
So what I do, okay, how much money do you have to work with? I've got this piece of land. You can do a single family home here. We
Mhm.
can build it for you.
Okay.
So it's putting all the puzzle pieces together,
Gotcha.
and it's having the right resource to call to do that. Because like you said, there's a lot of people that want to get into investing in real estate, but they just don't know who to call. And it's about you have to really trust someone. You have to again,
Yeah.
going back to a lot of people, I mean, this has been their life savings. And I don't take that lightly. There's a few crazy amount of investors that I work with. And when a deal goes south for them, man, I don't sleep at night. I feel horrible. There's that one gentleman now that I'm getting him out of a deal. He invested with an builder and the builder's not doing what he's supposed to do. But he's like, man, get me out of this. The guy's not. So literally, I got him out of it. Next Tuesday, he'll close and get out of it. But
Okay.
but it really like you've got to find people that you can trust because you're giving them your money. And a
For
lot of
sure.
these people, like I said, this is their money they've worked their whole life for,
Mhm.
and I don't take that lightly. And doing the research on it and making sure in investment, there's nothing guaranteed.
Yeah.
That's the risk of investment. So if anybody tells you investment that you're getting in, oh, guaranteed returns, then they're full of shit. Excuse my
Yeah.
language, but
And
they
we
are. So don't go that route.
previously dealt with that.
So nothing's guaranteed in
Uh,
investment. So just so you know that. So if anyone tells you that, then that's a red flag for
mhm.
sure. But it comes down to trust and having those resources.
Man, some people make it so hard to trust because I'll tell this quick story. There's like this investment group that I was a part of, and we were investing in container homes,
Uh-huh.
and it went completely south. And I would say in our group of 60 people, the 10 to 15 people I know were already out like over $4 million.
Wow. Oof.
And it's been like over a year, and they keep saying they're coming with payment plans, and we have contracts, but on the contract they do say
Mm-hmm.
it's guaranteed, which we knew it wasn't,
Right.
but it was like a 60-day process each time.
Yeah.
And then like after a year, it just went south. So I could see how some people can get, burned and are it's difficult for them to
For
trust
sure.
when something like this
100%.
happens. And
100%.
then
That's
somebody
hard to come back from.
yeah,
It is.
and then somebody brings them a new deal and you're still trying to get over the first one.
I would say start small in things
Okay.
in investment. There's plenty of opportunities. I know developers and builders now that do crowdfunding, which I mean, I think you can start with like $50 to $100. Now
Right.
you're not going to get the estimated returns,
Right.
but I think when you're getting into it, if you're not familiar with it, if you have been burned on a deal, start small. There's people that come to me, oh, I've got all this amount of money. So what I want to do, I want to build that confidence in my investors. I will refer them to, hey, go start small, go start over here. Or you're saying you want to go into multifamily, that's going to be millions of dollars of investment. Or what if let's take $250,000 and let's see how I can work this for you. And then just grow from there. So I would say start small and let it build from there, especially when you're just getting into it, because a lot of it's just learning about it. And like you said, if somebody guarantees you returns, it sounds great, but you don't know that as an investor if you've never been
Right.
an investor. So if somebody guarantees you that, then that's a red flag. So there's just all these little things to look for, but you don't know until you
don't
know.
Yeah. I look at it as it was a very expensive lesson.
Right.
But now I definitely know to do my due diligence when looking
Right.
at a project or an investment, do your research. Like you said, check the track record.
Right.
A lot of stuff I should have done.
Yeah. But sadly, though, some people, you said a very expensive investment or mistake.
Yeah, lesson.
But some people they don't have another go round. I mean, think about an older generation where they're putting their savings, their retirement into something, and they just lost everything they had. Then what do they do? So it can be, very, very painful. So if anyone comes to me about investment, I take it 100% personally.
Right.
And I just really try to be cautious on what I advise and where I steer them to go.
What about like the hard money lender route? Do you go that route or do you advise?
So I do hard money lending as
Okay.
well. I do everything through a family office or two capital partners,
Okay.
or a trust fund is where we do hard money. And basically it's on land acquisitions.
Okay.
Or new construction, of course. That's my area that I stay in. So I also do the hard money lending for any of that new development, land acquisition, that kind of stuff. So, and it can be rates are higher, but it's how quickly you want to move on things. It depends on, some people are rate sensitive. So if you're looking for a 7 to 9% rate on something, but then there's going to be a lot more underwriting. You're going to take maybe 60 to 90 days to close the deal versus, hey, I got to get this thing locked down quickly because it's so competitive right now.
Right.
You'll go hard money and I can close them within 5 to 7 business days.
Okay.
And we're not looking at tax returns. We're not looking at, hey, do you have money to come to the closing? Do you have about 6 months reserved to make payments?
Gotcha.
And that's what we're going to look at. And do you have experience,
Gotcha.
So,
and what percentage you said is that at right now?
On the rate, 11 to 12% on hard money. Yeah.
Okay. Now, that's something I recently learned too. Dabbling a little bit. I have a friend who does purpose builder developments. I'm not sure you're familiar with Will. He does some developments in South Dallas and in Cedar Hill at Lake Ridge. And every once in a while, he'll put some gems on Instagram. Instagram has become like a really cool learning.
It has, yes.
Yeah, learning tool. But you can't trust everything, though.
Right.
That's where someone scared me.
For sure. 100%.
That started.
Yeah.
Throughout this whole process, what's been like your biggest lesson that you learned? It doesn't have to be specifically in real estate. It could be with people. It could be around trust, investing. What's been like your biggest lesson?
My biggest lesson would be to have the confidence to go into rooms where you're different, because in my career, being different has made the biggest difference in my success. We all want to fit in, and that probably comes from childhood things, identifying ourselves, trying to figure out, am I light enough? Am I dark enough? Right. Is my hair good enough? Do my clothes look good? So we've been raised to kind of fit in or learn how to fit in. But really, if I look back on life and even today, being different, being raised how I was raised, I always felt different, but it prepared me to have the confidence to walk in any room that I go in now. Honestly, I kind of want to be the oddball out on any room that I walk in, because first off, it's like, what are they doing here?
Right.
And then secondly, when you walk in with confidence and you can talk about what you talk about and know what you do, and that comes to, like I said, finding a niche and being an expert in it. I mean, you've just made an impact just by walking in the room. And then when you open your mouth and talk about what you do different than other people, your niche, that's what I will say is my biggest takeaway, and that I would encourage anyone to do, to embrace the difference and being different in different rooms and environments.
Yeah, I think the key thing in the gym, you said, there is not only just having the confidence, but know what you're talking about.
Right, 100%.
But those two alone will definitely take
100%.
you far. Because I've known some people who are super confident, but they have no idea what they're talking
Right,
about.
yeah, oh yeah.
And I'm like, sounds good.
Chest,
like, it sounds good, but I don't know if they know, but I know.
Yeah, right. But that goes back to just cross-referencing people. You know, hey, who have you worked with? And then call them. I mean, what's wrong with calling the people and checking them out? I mean, everybody's going to sell themselves. That's what a salesman does, or a saleswoman, whoever. But what have they really done with who they say they are?
I don't know what's going on. People, I don't want to say people, but right now it's like they're scared to do research, or maybe it's lack of discipline, or it's laziness. But I notice people will jump into something, either one or two things. They either watch a lot of videos and they never execute, or they just jump in, execute, and then try to learn as they go.
Right.
But they don't even do like research or track record or people they're working with. They just, they're popping on social media, or I seen them say that they made $1 million doing real estate and you could too, so that they jump into it. So it's like, I don't know how to steer people away from those two things. If you're going to study and research, you got to execute.
Yeah.
And then if you're going to execute, you got to know what you're doing.
Right.
So I don't know how to
say it politely. I would say some of that's just stupidity. I mean, why? There's so many references out there and so many ways to cross-check people and cross-check what they've done. There should be no reason that you get into something. I'm not saying we can't get burnt.
Right.
It happens. But to just dive into something and not do the research, that's just pure stupidity to me. I mean, I'm like I said, I'm not saying you can't get burned even if you research, but to just dive in and hope that you can swim. Yeah. I don't know about that one. So
nah, trust me. I mean, it happened to me before. I got pushed in a pool, had to learn how to swim.
Right. Yeah. Hey, sink or swim.
But it wasn't my preferred method.
Right. Exactly. But I think, like I said, right now with social media, with Google, with whatever apps, searches, there are so many ways to really check people out, businesses and everything, before you get into something over your head.
Got you. And to kind of tie this all in together, we talked about our kids starting off. Is real estate something you're going to like push your daughter into, maybe as like a side investment, side projects, or is it something like you're going to let her find what she wants to do on her own, and when if she ever wanted to come to you, you're there for her?
Right. I want my daughter to be her own person. I said that from the beginning. I'm a big supporter of anyone, whether it's doing what I'm doing or doing what you love doing. And at the end of the day, what you do, you have to be passionate about, and you have to love for it to be long-term. I love construction. I love development. My daughter, God love her, she could care less to be outside. She could care less to be in dirt. She could care less to be around a bug, anything like that. So that's not her passion. If she wanted to do it, I would love for her to be by my side. I would probably drive her crazy, but I support her in whatever her dreams are. And I will be sure to give her any resources that she needs, any encouragement. She's going in the medical field. I have no clue about any of that. I don't know. But what I have done is provide her resources. Like when she's interviewing for internships right now. So what I've done is like, hey, anybody, I've given her a list of 5 doctors, whatever. You got to call them. You got to talk to them or whatever. But I've done my part, I mean, so I think as a parent, that's what we should do, is just support, as long as it, they have a plan. I'm okay. Whatever your plan is, have it, but just make sure you have a plan. And what are you doing to follow those steps in their plan? Because you're not going to waste my money on,
Nah, I
on
feel you.
trying to figure out 15
Yeah.
different plans. You know, find a plan, stick to it, show me what you're doing to make it happen, and I'll support you 100%. So I just feel like everybody needs to go for things that they're passionate about and that they love. And one thing I do tell her, don't let the 40-year-old you be mad at the 20-year-old you because you made poor decisions on, you're going to go to SMU and you're going to get a marketing degree. Nothing wrong with that,
Right.
but use that education to your fullest. How are you going to use it to be
Right.
able, so that 40-year-old you is not struggling or not unhappy or going, oh man, why did I do that? So that's another thing too. I always tell her, what would the 40-year-old you think about what the 20-year-old you is making on a decision right now?
Got you. I like to look at my business as a project as kids too, right? So as your projects, the constructions that you've done, what's been like your favorite one?
Oh, you don't have there's so many. That's the thing about construction.
Everything's
It's so different every time. And that's what I get so excited about. You literally take a piece of land, a piece of paper, and you bring it to life. I mean, it's just, I don't have a
love creating.
favorite one, but I love seeing something created. And I love just the excitement of seeing like nothing turn into a home for people or a space for people to office out of or whatever, or, you know, restaurants. We've done restaurants, that type of stuff. So,
That's right.
so yeah, I don't have a favorite one, but I just love seeing things come to life.
Got you. It's all about the process.
Right.
Creating.
100%.
And I got to ask this before we get out of here. So I have like 4 or 5 favorite quotes that I kind of like live by. Do you have one that you always refer back to?
The one that I've raised my daughter on was, you have to do things that others don't do to have things that others don't have.
I like that.
It's one I go by.
Every day.
Yeah, every day.
Yeah, I tell myself something similar because the decision we make today is what's basically we're going to live off of later. So
100%. Yes. Yeah.
I appreciate that. Please tell the people where they can follow you if they want to work with you.
Yes.
That's what we want to
Yes,
do.
yes,
If you're
yes.
looking to get in real estate, land acquisition, please follow you on social. Tell your socials, website, all that.
Instagram is Courtney A. Hemsley. Website is www.empireds.net. You can check me out and I'll be happy to help you.
Yes, I definitely implore you to check her out. We at COSIGN Magazine co-sign her. Thank y'all for tuning in. Again, if y'all do have any questions, please let us know in the comments. I'll refer back to her so she can answer because I'm not going to know how to do this. So I'll let her answer. But yeah, please like, share, comment, subscribe. Let us know if you have any questions and we'll get back to you. And as always, please continue the COSIGN life. We'll see y'all next time.
Thank you. Thank you.